obviously it has a big impact on your lives.
So right now is a really weird time to be a computer science student. If you're looking around and thinking, wait, wasn't this supposed to be easy? Wasn't I supposed to graduate, get a 6-figure dev job, and figure out the rest later? You're not crazy. The playbook changed. Entry-level roles are much tighter, and AI tooling is kind of everywhere. And it feels like the ladder pulled up a few rungs. So some good news is that the signals that get you hired didn't change. The market shifts, but the signals stayed the same. In this video, I'm going to give you a practical, step-by-step plan that you can run starting this week. So if you follow this, specialize early, build projects in the stretch zone, train deep work like a muscle, show a problem solver mindset, and sharpen the 3 soft skills that actually get offers, you're going to stand out. And if you're not ready for the straight to software engineer path, I'll give you adjacent technical roles that build real credibility and still let you pivot back to software. So first, some context about where I'm coming from. I've hired and mentored a ton of students and new grads. I've watched what managers actually look for in junior hires, what gets a resume pulled from a pile, and what gets a yes in a debrief. And what I'm about to share isn't theory. It's the same plan I give to people that I coach, and it's the same plan I would run if I were starting from zero today. Okay, framework time. 5 steps, then a 30-day sprint plan at the end so you can start immediately. Step 1. Your trick here is to specialize early. Do a quick 1-week survey of the landscape: front end, back end, mobile, DevOps and cloud, data, BI, security, machine learning, whatever. Watch one solid overview video for each. Browse the docs, read a getting started tutorial, and this is key, notice what sparks your curiosity. Which area makes you want to keep reading even when nobody's forcing you? Then pick one, not 3, 1. Write it on a sticky note. Like, I'm graduating as a job-ready front-end engineer or back-end or data scientist or whatever. That's your spike. For the next 90 days, you go deep there. Your electives, your projects, your internship targets, your meetups, filtered through that one sentence. Why? Because teams hire to fill a spiky need. A junior who is actually useful in one lane beats a junior who is okay at everything but needs handholding everywhere. Early in your career, specialization is key. Later, you'll broaden and become more of a generalist with a strong spike. But the fastest way through the door is to be exceptionally clear and employable in one area. Now, you might be thinking, but I don't want to get pigeonholed. That's totally fair. Here's the thing. In startups and smaller teams, your job will naturally broaden. You'll touch neighboring systems. You'll pick up adjacent responsibilities as soon as you prove you can deliver. Specialize to get in, generalize to grow. Step 2, build in the stretch zone, projects only. Tutorials are comfort food. They feel like progress because you're following along, copying code that works, and your brain gets that little dopamine hit. But tutorial loops create passive familiarity, not mastery. Mastery happens when you try to build something you actually want. You get stuck, and you have to debug your way out. So here's the rule. 1 tutorial to orient yourself in a new technology, only 1. After that, it's docs, examples, Stack Overflow, and AI assistance. You build, you get stuck, you unblock. That's software engineering in a nutshell. So what exactly should you build? If you pick something too easy, you'll get bored. Too hard and you'll stall. That "my brain hurts a little" feeling, that's a sign you're right where you should be. So here are a few examples to get you thinking. If you're going front end, build a course planner. Drag and drop schedule blocks, offline caching so it works on an airplane, user auth with email link sign-in, and a little analytics page that shows hours per week by course category. It's visual, sticky, and it forces you to touch state management, routing, accessibility, and local storage or service workers. If you're going back-end, build a rate-limited URL shortener with click analytics. Add retries to handle failures, background jobs to aggregate stats, and item potency keys so duplicate requests don't get double created. You'll touch routing, persistence, caching, queues, and basic observability. If you're going the data and BI route, build a campus dining analytics pipeline. Scrape menus in hours, normalize the data, store it in a warehouse, and publish a dashboard that answers questions students actually care about, like the peak time, average queue length, vegetarian options by day. You'll practice ETL, scheduling, SQL modeling, and stakeholder-friendly visualization. 2 more guardrails here. First, ship version 1 in 10 to 14 days. A working imperfect V1 beats a perfect plan. Then add 1 notch of complexity each week. Authentication, payments, background tasks, caching, tests, etc. Keep a learning log in your README. Write down what you tried, what you broke, and how you fixed it, and what you do differently next time. That document is a goldmine in interviews. Step 3, deep work is a skill, so train it. 2 people can both study for 2 hours. One blocks distraction and goes deep for 45 minutes at a time. The other context switches every 5 minutes. The deep work student wins every time, because learning is concentration compounded. Treat deep work like reps at the gym. Here's a simple protocol. A daily 45-minute focus block. Phone in the other room, browser tabs closed, only the doc, the editor, and the specific file you're working on. Set a timer. When it rings, stand up. No exceptions. If you want a second block later in the day, great. But don't blow past the timer. You're training consistency. Tiny explicit scopes. Design the whole database is pretty vague. Create one table with 3 fields and write one query that returns one report is actionable. Reduce the problem until you can start immediately. The evidence log. Every day, write 3 bullets. What I built, what I broke, and what I can try tomorrow. This turns your studying into a feedback loop. Over time, you'll see patterns, where you get stuck, which tools you should avoid, which habits help. And by the way, this discipline doesn't just make you learn faster, it's also an interview story generator. For example, tell me about a time you learned something quickly becomes, I ran a daily deep work block with an evidence log. Here's a week where I taught myself cues and added background processing to my project. I wrote 5 tests, and I can show you the before and after metrics. That's pretty compelling. 4. Cultivate the sentence that hires you. I don't know, but I'll find out. Nobody expects a junior to know everything. What managers want to see is your process for the unknown. Try this structure. I haven't implemented X before, but here's how I'll approach it. First, I'll read the official docs and the quick start to get a minimal example running. Second, I'll spike a tiny proof of concept that isolates the tricky part. Third, I'll add basic logging so I can see what's happening. If I'm still stuck, I'll search for common failure modes, look at open GitHub issues, and ask one specific question with a minimal example. I'll report back tomorrow. That answer does 3 things. It shows you're honest about your gaps, it shows you have an independent problem-solving process, and it sets expectations. It's the opposite of, I'd Google it, which is a non-answer. Practice this in your projects each week. Write the plan, execute, log what you learned, and by the time you interview, unknowns are just another Tuesday. 5. The soft skills that actually get offers. Everyone says work on your soft skills, and then nobody defines them. Let's make this practical. There are 3 levers to pull right now. Your voice, your body language, and your small talk opener. Your voice. Record yourself answering one behavioral question in 60 seconds. For example, tell me about a time you dealt with a setback. Play it back at 1x speed with your eyes closed, and listen for 3 things. Filler words, rushing, and tangled explanations. Your goals are fewer fillers, a 10% slower pace than you think you need, and crisp structure. Do this once a day for a week. You'll hear improvements by day 3. Body language. Shoulders down, chin level, sit or stand tall with your feet grounded. Keep your gestures visible and in frame. And when you make a point, stop moving and let silence land. It sounds silly, but presence is a teachable skill. Film a 2-minute mock screen share where you walk through your project's architecture diagram. Watch for fidgeting and eye contact with the camera. Small talk. This isn't about being hilarious. It's about being human in the first 10 seconds. Open the call with something relevant and specific. For example, I saw the blog post about your new data pipeline. Congrats to the team. I'm curious how you're handling backfills. Or, I noticed your talk on feature flags. I added a simple flag system to my project as well. Now you're not a random candidate. You're a person who did their homework and respects their work. Put it together and become the candidate who can deliver and who people want to work with. That combination is rare. Be that person. Now there's an elephant in the room. What if you're not ready to go straight into the software engineering path? Do you just wait another year? No. You step in through an adjacent technical role that builds the same muscles and gets you paid while you level up. Then you pivot. Let me give you 4 that I've seen work incredibly well. 1. Automation engineer or automation systems builder. Your goal is simple. Eliminate repetitive, soul-sucking work with glue code and tools. Think Zapier or Make for workflow orchestration, Python or JavaScript for custom steps, Google Sheets or Airtable for lightweight data, and webhooks to tie it all together. You can save teams hundreds of hours a month. It's fast feedback, visible impact, and fantastic prep for backend or platform roles. 2. QA or test engineer. It's not always glamorous, but it's incredibly valuable. You write automated test cases, simulate edge cases, and make sure shipping software doesn't break user trust. Some of these skills are like Playwright, Selenium, API testing with Postman or similar, and a working knowledge of CI so you can run tests automatically in pipelines. Tons of engineers move from QA to software engineering once they've built credibility inside a company. 3. Business intelligence engineer. You're the data translator. You take messy data from multiple sources, model it into clean tables, and build dashboards that leadership actually use to make decisions. They use tools like SQL, Python, and a viz tool like Tableau or Power BI. If you like data but don't want to go full lit into research or heavy ML, BI is a great lane that develops real business intuition. 4. Technical financial analyst. You sit next to finance teams and quietly outcode everyone. You automate reports with Python, build simple forecasting models, pull data from APIs every day, and wire it into spreadsheets people actually use. It's a fantastic entry point if you enjoy numbers and want to see the insides of how a business runs. The point is to get into the building where the problems and the people are. Pick the door that opens now, build reputation, and pivot with momentum. Okay, it's time to stitch this into a 30-day plan you can start this week. Think of this as a sprint for your career. Week 1. Choose one spike and spec your project. Spend the first 2 days doing that 1-week survey of domains if you haven't already. By midweek, commit and write your spike sentence. Create a repo and a README scaffold with sections for problems, users, outcome, architecture, setup, and a learning log. Block one 45-minute deep work session each workday. This is sacred time. And by the end of the week, a simple architecture sketch and a list of features for your V1. Week 2, build V1 and tell the story. Keep the scope painfully small. A working skeleton with one real feature beats a grand plan. Write your first tests even if they're tiny. Record a 60-second architecture explainer just for you to hear how you sound. And update the learning log every day, what you built, what you broke, and what you'll try tomorrow. And by the end of the week, you want a V1 deployed somewhere so you can demo, a README updated, and 1 or 2 tests passing in CI. Week 3, add one hard thing. Pick a feature that scares you a little. Auth, background jobs, rate limiting, caching, or accessibility. Before you code, write the "I don't know, but here's my plan" paragraph in your README. Then execute. And if you get stuck, keep the minimum reproducible examples and link to them in your log. By the end of the week, your app should be better and your confidence in tackling unknowns should be higher. Week 4, polish and publish. Add a few tests and metrics or a dashboard. Improve performance or accessibility by one measurable notch. Film a 2 to 3 minute demo that shows the user flow and then the architecture. Update your resume with a tight 3-bullet project entry using outcomes and numbers. Share the demo with 2 seniors or mentors and ask for one specific critique. Make the change and ship. If you run that month well, you will be in a different tier than most students by default because you'll have shipped something real, explained it clearly, and demonstrated you can learn unknowns on your own. So a quick word on mindset, because this is the part that sneaks up on people. Feeling stupid is not a red flag. It's the stretch zone. If your brain hurts a little, you're doing it right. The trick is to calibrate it so it hurts a little, not a lot. If you're overwhelmed, downshift the scope. If you're bored, upshift the complexity. You're in control of the dial. Also, don't fall into the trap of thinking you need permission. You don't need a certificate to build a project that helps people. You don't need an internship title to learn how queues or databases work. A lot of the best juniors I've hired had one thing in common. They didn't wait for gatekeepers to tell them what to learn next. They picked a problem, built something, and learned. Finally, remember that your first job is not your forever job. The immediate goal is not to perfectly predict your entire career. The goal is to get inside the building where the problems and the people are and build reputation. Once you're inside, you'll see opportunities you can't see from the outside. Let's wrap up with a checklist. Number 1, pick a spike and commit to 90 days. Write it down. 2, choose a stretch zone project with a real user and real outcome. Ship V1 in 2 weeks and add 1 level of complexity each week. 3, run a daily 45-minute deep work block. Keep a 3-bulleted evidence log: built, broke, and what's coming next. 4, practice the sentence managers absolutely love. I don't know, here's my plan. And prove it weekly by tackling one unknown and logging it. 5, train the 3 soft skills that actually get offers. Your voice, slow down, fewer fillers, clear structure, body language, presence on camera, and small talk openers, specific and human. 6. Package your work like a pro. Read me with an architecture diagram, a learning log, a short demo video, and a handful of tests, and 1 or 2 metrics that show you care. 7. Apply with intent. Pair each application with one thoughtful human touch when possible. Lead with your spike and your project, not seeking opportunities. 8. If software engineer isn't quite the right fit right now, pick an adjacent role that lets you build something. Automation engineer, QA, BI, or technical finance analyst. And there are others. And pivot back with momentum. If you do these things consistently, you will look and feel different in a month. In 3 months, you'll be interview ready. And when you get into the room, you'll have real stories to tell. Stories with outcomes, numbers, and learnings, not just buzzwords. The market is tough. I won't sugarcoat that. But the world still needs builders. People who can pick a problem, go deep, and ship. You can be one of them. In fact, you can be the one on a hiring manager's shortlist because your work is visible, your process is sound, and your presence is strong. So, pick your spike, start the project, block 45 minutes, and build something a little too hard for you. I'm rooting for you. You absolutely got this.